Hey there, people. It's been a while since I've done one of these commentary videos, but I thought this was the perfect opportunity, I guess, to do one. So for this video, I'm gonna be going over, yes, how to get 3000 score, Omen score against Fearmonger. And I plan to do this for all 5 bosses. Once I get them, of course. Fearmonger just happened to be the first one I got 3000 score against. So this particular activity, event, not sure what you would call it, we haven't seen this in a while actually. It must have been like, I don't know, 6 months since we've seen it. Like, like early spring of this year, so I almost actually kind of forgot about it and was wondering when they might bring it back, but lo and behold, they did bring it back, so yeah, it's probably like the most difficult type of content we're gonna get out of Alchemy starts, so pretty interesting getting to see, to like actually have some challenge, I guess you can say, because I've been playing this game since the beginning, so my character's already mostly maxed out, not entirely, of course. Right, so for these videos you'll see with commentary, I'll do my best to explain how I go about them. And maybe if you're having difficulty getting high scores on your end, maybe this can help. I'll do my best to explain how I do it. I'm not the best helper in the world, so I definitely do my best. But if you do have your own advice, or if there's something I say that's incorrect, feel free to correct me in the comments. Yeah, anyway, Fearmonger. So, actually, before we talk about Fearmonger, let's talk about how this event works. So how Deadly Omens works is that we have several bosses to fight, 5 at this point, and we can make the fights more difficult in order to maximize our Omen score, and the higher Omen score we get, the more rewards we get. However, the rewards are like You do get some Lamambar, but you also get some Jaspers, and Jaspers are what you use to level up your characters, like regular level ups, and that's something that, like me personally, I would strive for, but if it's something you want, you can try to go for it. Although, if you just care about the Lamambar, you only need like a 2400 score across the board, so for most people I assume that shouldn't be too difficult to get. But just to put a little bit of challenge on me, I'm going to be trying to go for 3000 score across all 5 bosses. Right, so anyway, how this works is you pick a boss to fight, then you select 1 out of 3 difficulties to fight them at. There's Hard, Deadly, and Berserk. Depending on which difficulty you fight will determine the base score you get before you add on attributes, which makes the fight more difficult. And actually the attributes you get depends on which difficulty you fight. Because the higher the difficulty, the more problematic those attributes can be. So for the 3000 score, I'm going to be doing them on Deadly difficulty, the medium one. And the reason I do that is I feel like it would be much easier because the base, like health and damage of the enemies will be much more fairer than if you were to do Berserk, because Berserk is really hurts from what I tried to do so far, so I scaled it back to Deadly. So with Deadly, you get a base 1500 Omen score. Now to add on to that, we have to apply attributes, which make the fight more difficult. And for Fearmonger, actually, let's talk about Fearmonger first before I go into the attributes. So Fearmonger will always hang out here in the center of the battlefield. He will not move at all. He will do attacks. He has like 3 unique attacks here. That's one of them. That's like a splash damage one. Well, so as long as you avoid being around him, you won't get hit by that. There's another one where it will hit you no matter where you are on the field, so you're always gonna get hit by that. And then the last one kind of acts like a cross attack, like that. You can tap on Fearmonger if you want to see which attack he's doing next, by the way. And not only would that hurt and push you back, but it also summons those minions of his on the corners of the board. And those guys will just launch attacks every single round. And it really does a number on your health. So the gimmick of this stage is to defeat Fearmonger's minions over and over again. Because not only do you take them out of the equation so you don't take damage, but for each one you defeat, it decreases Fearmonger's defense. So if you look at Fearmonger, you see he has that red shield thing with the number 4 next to it. That means I defeated 4 minions so far. I don't remember exactly what a good number to get is to weaken him enough so you can defeat him. I think maybe 10. I think around the 10 mark is when I actually try to start actually attacking Fearmonger directly. Because as you see throughout this fight, I'm mainly focusing on his minions. Like all this other damage I'm doing to Fearmonger, it's just convenient. It's convenient damage. And yeah, that's basically the gist of it. You wanna get the minions as fast as possible, so you don't take a lot of damage. And then once you bring down Fearmonger's defense enough, you can start laying the hurt on him. So now let's talk about the attributes. So these are conditions you pick before you start the fight to make it more difficult, and these are what I went with. The first one is increases Fearmonger's max HP by 50%. So of course that gives him more health, so it's going to take much longer to beat him. The next one is reduces normal attack damage taken by 20%. So that's referring to you, so that means your damage is less. Not by much, but still. The next one is increases Fearmonger minions max HP by 30%. So yeah, that gives his minions a little bit more health, but you see here it's not too much of a problem for me. The next one is Fearmonger obtains Valiance 1. Defense increases as HP declines, up to 2.5 times base defense. So yeah, that gives him more defense, but that's in turn why we want to defeat the minions, to bring that defense down so it doesn't become much of a hindrance for us. The next one is converts 3 random tiles within 2 surrounding clusters of Aurorians into locked tiles at the beginning of the round. So those are the tiles you see there with the X's on them. Like, they're locked, so we can't change them. Like, converter Aurorians cannot change them. Well, with the exception of Sharon, but we'll get to that in a second. The next attribute is Fearmonger minions generate 1 weakened tiles at the start of the round. So of course, weakened tiles, if you pass over them, will make you weaker. So I don't think in this fight I did try to avoid them. But I do try to avoid them if I can, but sometimes, it's better to take the weakened hit rather than let the minions live. The next one is Fearmonger minions attack range increases the full screen. So normally those minions will only attack you if you're close to them, but I apply that attribute because, well, it gives me a lot of score, and also I wanted to prepare myself for Berserk, because on Berserk difficulty, those guys have full screen attack range anyway. So it's like practice for me. The last 2 attributes are increases Fearmonger minions attack by 30%, and the closer Fearmonger is to Aurorians, the higher the damage, up 1.5 times. Right, so as I said before, Fearmonger has 3 attacks. You want to avoid the 2 that you can avoid, and you just have to take the hit of the one you can't avoid. So for Aurorians here, I went with Sharon. Sorry. I went with Sharon, Faust, Novio, Cardline, the Swollen Soul, and Frostfire. Hold on, I'm checking if I got their names right. Yeah, Frostfire. So I picked Charon because he's one of my best damage dealers because he can attack units diagonally, not just ones that are next to him. Like, you know, like four plus. But his active skill, you know, the train, resets tile. Not only resets all non-red tiles, but also resets their attributes. So that applies to weakened tiles and locked tiles. So you pay attention throughout this fight. I take advantage of Charon's ability to clear off locked tiles and weakened tiles to make it easier for me to get around the board. So that's probably the main reason I picked Charon. Faust. Faust is a pretty good red tile converter in general, but also he's max breakthrough for me. So he can convert 5 tiles instead of 4, and if I hold off his skill for 1 turn, he can convert 6. Though I don't think I do that here. I think I always use that the second I get it. I use Novio for obvious reasons. I need a healing. He's a really good healer. I think a couple times in this fight, I actually make Novio the leader just to take advantage of that healing. And Carleen the Smoldering Soul is very useful in this fight because she can somewhat teleport and convert tiles, like so. So of course she can only travel a certain distance, and if she hits an enemy, she actually gets 1 Smoldering Soul back. Because you see at the bottom right there, she has 5 now, I think. Yeah, so if you use her skill and she hits an enemy that's in front of her or goes to an enemy, she gets 1 back. So that's a nice way to maximize the amount of time she can use that skill. And also, I use her skill on the minions where they stand in order to convert the red tiles under them, no, the tiles under them to red. That's because Carleen has an additional equipment skill that ignores defense when doing damage to enemies that are on red tiles. So, you know, that's extra damage to the minions. So that's why you see me charging into the minions, not just to get 1 Smoldering Soul back, but it converts the red tile under them to red. So if I do that across the board, she'll always do extra damage. And of course, Frostfire, kind of a no-brainer here. So she builds up this over time per turn, and depending on whether she kills an enemy. And the reason for that is she can launch attacks from anywhere on the board, like to anywhere on the board. It's not a lot, but it's enough so that if I bring a minion's health down enough, I use Frostfire's skill to kill it, and if she kills an enemy, she gets 5 Vis back, because each active skill use requires 10 Vis. And also, her chain combo skill, if used in the maximum, can attack enemies anywhere on the board. So it's also very nice for dealing with the minions. Now if you're paying attention here, the minions actually, I should mention this too, the minions actually become invincible if they're on a green tile. So you might not be able to tell right away, but if you look at the minions and they have like a fist symbol above them, that means they're invincible, which means they're on the top of a green tile. So that's also another reason why Carleen's skill is useful, because it converts the tile under them to red, thus making them vulnerable to damage again. And that's pretty much the gist of it. We're coming to the end of this fight here. I think I explained everything. Like I said, the gist of it is avoid all of Fearmonger's attacks once that you can. Kill the minions as fast as possible. Charon's skill to reset tiles, getting rid of the weakened and locked ones is nice. And yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything. So I'm about to end this fight here. I could thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you like this stuff. And I'll see you in the next video, whichever one that is, where I'll get 3000 score on the next boss. Thanks for watching and goodbye.